To show you the symptom, what happens to all these old cameras, they lose their settings whenever the battery is replaced, even if the battery cover is only popped open for a second or two. So when we turn this old Fuji on, you will see that the no date or time has been set. So we'll go ahead and just set something here. We'll just set it to the year 2000 and set it to November 1st. That's good enough just for the test. Okay, so to show you that the setting is here, as you see, it's set to November 1st of the year 2000. So what we'll do is turn it off here, take it out just for a second, pop it back in, turn it on, and you see all the settings have been erased again. It's back to default. Well, that's annoying whenever you're trying to use the camera. You have it set up the way you want it. You want the pictures to be dated properly. So that's what we're going to fix here today. Okay, big flick here, and this is part 2 of upgrading the internal time date backup battery in the old Fuji A205 A210 series. Last time I opened up and modified the A210 using just a standard battery. I believe it was a CR1220 battery. This time I'm doing something a little bit different. I ordered these supercapacitors on Aliexpress. These are the ones that are actually the size of a coin cell battery, motherboard mounted style. These are supposed to be 0.2 farad, which is 200,000 microfarads at 3 volt. And what I did was I went ahead and took off, this is the original battery that's on the Fuji motherboard, and as you see they actually look the same. And another guy in the comments was saying that, and I agree with this, it's kind of hard to, how would you know the difference between this and a battery? I mean, these actually could be rechargeable batteries for all I know. I mean, I thought about it, I tried to do a capacitance test. It's hard to test the capacitance this high, and even when you test a battery, a small battery like this for capacitance, you know, you will get a reading that goes off the scale on a digital meter. So I'm not sure about that, but in any event, this is what we're going to try here, and these are supposed to be, like I say, 0.2 farad at 3 volt, and I went ahead and just carefully tack soldered that onto the motherboard, the exact same place that this original battery was. And while I was in here, I did one other modification of this one, which there again I don't recommend anybody else do for one reason. When you put the rechargeable batteries in these Fujis, there's a switch inside of this battery compartment. Let me see if I can get this open very carefully here. If you look inside of here, you can't see it now because I tucked it out of the way, and that's the modification that I made. If you look in here, right along this back wall in the center, right in the center, there's a little button that pops out of here, and the purpose of that is to prevent a person from putting in, like say, alkaline batteries, putting it in the cradle and trying to charge alkaline or even just the old-fashioned heavy-duty batteries. So this is a safety feature here, and it's meant to only work with the Fuji battery. I'll get the model number here in 1 second. Here's an original Fuji battery that's meant to be charged in the cradle. And this one still holds a charge. I actually have a number of these that still work, and it's a NH-10. And if you see, all this is 2 rechargeable AA batteries that are sandwiched together, and with this little plastic housing. And this plastic housing has a ramp that when you slide it in, this makes sure that that little safety button comes up, hits this, and then gets pulled or pushed, from whatever your perspective is, out of the way, so that this will allow these, being that these are rechargeable batteries, to recharge. If you just put 2 AA cells in here, there's no centerpiece here that pushes up on that little switch, and that's the safety between this unit right here and the other. Well, the problem is that they charge too much money for what this is, and any AA rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries that you can get from Amazon, which often are actually higher than 1900 milliamps anymore, you can get them 2500, 2600 milliamps, I mean minimum 2200 milliamps, for name brand stuff, not generic. So you can use modern batteries in this now once I have made this modification. And all I did on this was, if you see here, there's a little metal thing here that that little pin pushes against, and I just cut off a little piece of toothpick and shoved it behind here, and that pulls that out of the way and allows this, it defeats the safety mechanism, and that's just tucked in there, that little piece of toothpick. It's not going to go anywhere. So that's the modification. I didn't make it on the other one. I'll see if I can show that on the other camera. I'm probably going to open it back up and do that, because I want to run just modern rechargeable batteries in here, because you know, these are overpriced for what they are. Okay, here's the A210 that I modified with the battery last time, and I think you should be able to see this. When you pop, I have one of these packs in here which still works too. If you look inside here, there, you can see it right there in the camera. You'll see that gold little pin in here. Right there. That little gold pin that you're seeing shining inside of there, that gets pushed out of the way whenever this ramps into there. That little ramp hits that pin, and that makes sure it's a smooth slide then up and out of the way. And so that's all we're doing by defeating that. And there again, the reason I don't recommend you do that is if someone accidentally puts in commercial, just regular alkaline batteries or something, and then tries to pop it in a cradle, they are going to have a major problem. I mean, it could start a fire, definitely ruin the camera. I mean, you don't want to mess around with trying to charge batteries that are not meant to be charged. I mean, that's a formula for disaster. But nonetheless, I'm the only one that's going to be using these cameras. I know what's going on with them. I don't even buy alkaline batteries anymore because they just leak too much and ruin equipment. So I only buy rechargeables. On a rare occasion, I will buy lithium single-use batteries for things like multimeters and that. But other than that, you know, I use them and install them right away. So, I mean, I'm never going to put the wrong batteries in here. And I might even put a small note inside here someplace, maybe inside the lid here, saying that, you know, do not use anything but rechargeable, you know, fire hazard. I might do something like that just in case someone in the future would decide to use an old beast like this. But in any event, these are the two modifications that I made on the A205, which is actually my preferred camera of the two, even though it has lower megapixel count. I always found these 2 megapixel sensors performed much better than the 3s and 4s back in the day. It's my opinion. So in any event, I'm going to get this put back together. If you order these, I'll put the part number that I purchased. You have to buy the ones that are extremely thin. There's 2 different versions of these in this size. One is slightly thicker, and this is an extremely tight fit. I'm not sure the thicker one would actually clear. It might. The original battery that was on here looks almost 100% identical. It does kind of make you wonder whether that isn't just a battery there. But in any event, it's new. It probably will at least solve the problem, if nothing else. Whether it's actually a capacitor or not, I don't know. It's supposed to be. Okay, put it back together and we'll try it out. Okay, I'm getting ready to fire up this A205 for the first time after the repair and the modification. I already put the memory card in. I'm going to go ahead and use the standard AA rechargeable batteries that I mentioned. One thing of note, these were purchased at a different time, and I don't even know if Amazon mentions this, but these are both Amazon branded rechargeables. The ones with the black cap are only 2000 milliamp rated. I don't know if that picks up on the camera, but these ones with the gray top, which are the exact same product because, you know, I just reordered at the same time when I ordered them, these are 2400 milliamps. So in theory, you probably should not mix and match these together because they will have a different capacity to them by definition. So I have 2 black ones and 2 gray ones. Doesn't really matter. I guess we'll put the gray ones in here. I think these are charged up. We'll find out. So we'll put that in like that. Put that in like this. Okay, let's see what we have. And I have not fired this up yet, so let's find out what we got. Okay, that's normal. You would figure that because it's been off for a while. So we'll just hit, I guess we'll go ahead and set it right now. Okay, it's 6:49 on April 2nd. So Okay, 6:50 p.m. Okay, we are on playback here, so we'll go into camera mode. That is probably charging up the flash capacitor, is what I think that is, and also that all the settings had gotten set back to default. Okay, so we are back into action here. We'll go pick the 2 megapixel setting. We'll go into the menu and make sure that, go into the setup here, go down to the time date, make sure it's set here. It is, so we'll back out here, and I'll go ahead and just pop this off while it's on here. As you see, it's still on. There we go, so it's off. Put these back in. Well, let's... Okay, no message about the time and date being reset. Let's go ahead and check it. And it is correct, so that is working. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and turn it off, and we'll put it into the cradle and see if it's going to charge fine with these Amazon batteries. So it's going to be popped in with this to the bottom. Okay, here's the cradle. Let's see what we have. And as you see, we have the red charge light turned on immediately. So both things that I wanted to solve have gotten solved. I'm happy about that. Pull it off. I guess we can do a little bit of an extended test here to see if we can see if it'll hold it if we pull it off for about 30 seconds here. So what we'll do is just pop the lid, make sure these are out a little bit. You can speed this up. I'll wait 30 seconds, put it back in, and we'll check and see if the time and date have gotten reset. I mean, actually, that supercapacitor hasn't had a lot of opportunity to charge up. I think they charge fairly slow, and it hasn't been on very long. So it'll be interesting to see if it can actually hold it. Okay, that's a solid 30 seconds right now. That would be more than enough for somebody to put in a new set of batteries had they been just swapping the batteries out. I'm going to put this in playback mode so that the lens doesn't have to come out. And yes, we did not get the time date reset message. Go into the menu here. And everything is still set fine. So as you see, this looks like it's a pretty good solution, and unlike the first video where I had to tuck the soldered on battery that I had to tuck that up underneath this area here, which there was nothing in this area, so it was like an open area. It's a good place to tuck it. But, you know, that wasn't the greatest solution, although it was a functional solution, and it was free because I already had those batteries and were not going to be used. This looks like it is a better solution. It is tough to solder that. It's tricky because for some reason I can't seem to get these two sections fully apart. This section right here is very difficult to, it doesn't seem to want to spread apart when you're taking this apart. You can get this back cover off fine. You can kind of get this tucked out just barely enough, and I had to kind of hold the housing up and away from the little board up there with my thumb while just trying to one hand tack, heat up that thing and just kind of flick off the old battery. Wasn't fun. It's kind of delicate work. It's just very unfortunate. If that would have just been a few more millimeters further towards the back, or this whole front section would separate easier, but something up in here seems to keep this front section from popping off better. I'm not exactly sure what, but I didn't really need to have it apart totally in order to accomplish what I wanted to do. But in any event, this is a more challenging way to fix this for sure. But if you think you have the solder skills and you want to give it a shot, that's on you. Again, make sure you discharge the flash capacitor which I discharged it the proper way this time with a resistor instead of just the last time I just put a screwdriver across it and sparked it. At any event, this might be the only A205 now in existence with a working time date backup battery solution, which is supposed to be a supercapacitor, but I already mentioned that before. I really don't know any way of knowing for sure that that's what they sent me. Those could have been small rechargeable batteries. I mean, they look identical. How would you know? But in any event, it looks like it's going to solve my problem. The only reason I didn't go that route the first time is I just kind of didn't want to spend about $10 on the project, and I had batteries that I wasn't using, and I figured, well, I'll put them to some use. But this is the better solution, and you know, there you go. So if you want to try a project on your old Fuji and kind of make it do what it did when it was original, when it was brand new, there you go. Thanks a lot. Bye.